केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
This morning, Rahul Gandhi, leader of the opposition, created a ruckus and furor in the parliament. In response to the president's address, he insisted upon raising what he said were some issues of vital import to our national security. So what was he saying? He was trying to cite an article from the Caravan magazine, which in turn was quoting excerpts from General Narwane, the former army chief's unpublished memoirs. It may be recalled that the government had stopped General Narwane from publishing the book. As such, the authenticity of the excerpts cited in the Caravan magazine itself are open to question. But then let's try and take a deeper look at what is this bravura all about. So I have had a detailed look at the article in the Caravan magazine. I have no access to General Narwane's book or manuscript, but we had a look at the Caravan article in detail. So what does this article say? This article talks of the 2020 Chinese.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
First statement from Kremlin on trade deal. Russia says no signals from India on buying or not buying Russian oil. Lok Sabha chaos as Rahul Gandhi's speech stopped over ex-army chief memoir mention again. Congress MPs throw papers at the chair. Suspended. Lok Sabha adjourned for the day.
ट्रेड डील में आपकी मेहनत को, आपके खून पसीने को नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने बेच दिया है।
Opposition leaders big charge on the US trade deal, says PM is compromised, sold the nation. Republic has the inside scoop from the NDA parliamentary meeting. PM says India-US trades a sign of new world order. D Street cheers the deal. Markets soar 5% on the India-US pact announced by US President Donald Trump. All right, welcome friends again to this broadcast on Republic. With the US President making that announcement on his Truth Social post, one very important aspect that came out was that India has agreed to not buying Russian oil. But what are the facts? Because Kremlin has now made a statement, and that's the first reaction coming in from Russia. They have said that we have not heard from India on whether they are buying or not buying Russian oil. Remember, the government of India is yet to make an official statement. The parliament is in session. The Lok Sabha was to get one from Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, but the Lok Sabha had to be adjourned, so likely the statement is postponed till tomorrow. But in the meanwhile, world reactions coming in, and the most interesting one coming in from Moscow, where Kremlin has said that they have not heard on Indo-US trade deal, or for that matter of India buying or not buying Russian oil. We have to wait for that clarity. But President Trump, of course, like he did in the case of ceasefire, jumping the gun perhaps on that. Let's look at what's happening in Parliament. After this breaking, Harsha is joining us live from outside the parliament. Harsha, please tell us why the Lok Sabha had to be adjourned. Wasn't the government supposed to make a statement today? And if not in the Lok Sabha, is the government going to make a statement in the Raj Sabha still?
Yes, Abhishek, you rightly pointed out what the Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju has spoken to us after Lok Sabha adjourned, and after the meeting with the Speaker concluded that there will be no statement on the trade deal today. Earlier, Piyush Goyal, Commerce Minister, was supposed to make a statement today at around 4:30 p.m. in the Lok Sabha, but before that only the Lok Sabha adjourned following the ruckus and disruption from the opposition party leaders. The Parliamentary Affairs Minister, not only him but also JP Nadda and Raj Sabha, stated that government is ready to give the entire detail of the trade deal between US and New Delhi, which has happened so far, coming down to the reciprocal tariff from 25% to 18%, as several opposition party leaders like DMK leader Kanimori and also the Congress leader have been demanding the detail of the US-India trade deal. But today we all are waiting for Piyush Goyal to give us more light, to give us more light on this Russia-India. What Donald Trump has been stating, that India will not be buying Russian oil, but there has been no confirmation from the Commerce Ministry as of now. Abhishek, we tried reaching out to Commerce Secretary Mr. Agarwal as well, but he also stated clearly that Mr. Piyush Goyal will only be responding on this. We all are waiting for him to make a statement, or also brief, if he could brief the reporters off cam. We are waiting here in the parliament if he arrives today in the parliament, or give us more detail, because from New Delhi, as Dmitry Peskov, the Kremlin spokesperson, clearly stated that there has been no confirmation from New Delhi. He also went on by stating that there will be strategic bilateral ties between Russia and India. The ties are stronger and it will continue to remain so. So the New Delhi confirmation has yet not come. We have tried to speaking to several officials from the Commerce Ministry, but there has been no confirmation to us from the Commerce Ministry as of now. I believe everyone is waiting for Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal to give the details of the trade deal. Back to you.
Right, Harsha. In fact, I'm getting to here, and that's a breaking news development. Let's break it quickly. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is actually going to make a statement. He's going to address the media on camera on the US trade deal at 5:15 p.m. from the Commerce Ministry headquarters at Vanij Bhavan. Can we break that? Harsha, maybe you can be there at 5:15 p.m. when the Commerce Minister makes that statement. In 40 minutes from now, we're building up to that. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, who has rushed back from Mumbai, he was there just so that he can make this statement. He was supposed to make the statement in the parliament, in the Lok Sabha, but the Lok Sabha is adjourned. That's why he's making this statement from the Vanij Bhavan. Remember, somebody has to speak, somebody has to respond to the kind of politicization we have seen happening with the kind of statement that has come from the United States. It needs some clarification and clarity, and that's why the Commerce Minister, Piyush Goyal, is going to meet the press and make that statement at 5:15 p.m. 5:15 p.m. at Vanij Bhavan in New Delhi. That's the breaking development. Piyush Goyal, Commerce Minister, to make the statement at 5:15 p.m. Okay, Harsha, quickly. The parliament.
Update has come. Yes, Abhishek.
So the Lok Sabha adjourned,
yes,
to the Piyush Goyal.
Has right now come from the Vanij Bhavan. Yes, Abhishek, so the Commerce Minister had arrived in New Delhi. He was supposed to come to Lok Sabha at around 3:30 p.m. but the Lok Sabha got adjourned. Therefore, now Piyush Goyal will be making a statement and will be speaking directly to the media at 5:15 p.m. at Vanij Bhavan. All the details of the India-US trade deal, which also the leaders of the ruling party have been stating that Piyush Goyal is ready to give each and every detail of the India-US trade deal. It was also being stated that Mr. Jaishankar is already in US. The FTA is being signed and the entire process is underway, but the deal is now on. And also, Piyush Goyal will be giving each and every detail of the deal, how it is happening, what is happening, and what are the details of the happening, because many have been concerned about the agriculture sector. They have been also stating, opposition party leaders majorly, that initially when the 50% tariff was imposed, the government stated that they will not touch the agriculture sector. So what exactly is happening in the agriculture sector? That all details Mr. Goyal will be giving, the Commerce Minister will be giving at the Commerce Ministry only, that is at Vanij Bhavan at 5:15 p.m. We all will be rushing from here directly to the Vanij Bhavan to get more updates, because this is one. Yes, back to you, Abhishek.
All right, thank you so much, Harsha. And that's a big breaking development coming in. But remember, friends, a major claim by the US President Donald Trump in his post, which is about India agreeing to stop buying Russian oil, has stirred a fresh debate and a row, in fact, about India's energy security and strategic autonomy. Trump says India has agreed to stop the purchase of Russian oil and would buy American oil instead. The government sources tell us that we are going to buy as per market dynamics and that we are going to buy any non-sanctioned oil. And that's been the case earlier. That's going to be the case now. What's the truth? Let's look at some details.
India-US have the deal. President Donald Trump took to Truth Social and made the big announcement. PM Modi was quick to welcome it. The news electrified the markets. But oppositions raised questions, targeting Trump's mention of India stopping Russian oil purchase.
कि अमेरिका का राष्ट्रपति कह रहा है कि अब हिंदुस्तान रूस से तेल नहीं खरीदेगा, यानी कि अमेरिका से अगर आप तेल खरीदेंगे तो महंगा तेल हिंदुस्तान के करोड़ों लोगों को खरीदना पड़ेगा। आपने दोहरी मार इस देश के लोगों को दी, विश्वासघात किया इस देश के लोगों के साथ।
The government hit back. We would continue to purchase oil as per market dynamics, including non-sanctioned oil from Venezuela.
Abhishek, that I'm glad you asked this question on Venezuela, because I should like to say that we have a long-standing, old, traditional relationship with Venezuela. It's very long. By the way, you are referring to one statement made by President Trump today, or which has been carried today. Our Prime Minister had a telephone conversation with Her Excellency Celsi Rodriguez on the 30th. There was a delegation from Venezuela in Goa for the India Energy Week from 27th to 30th. Now, this is nothing new. We've had a long-standing relationship of buying oil from them. Our refineries, at least 2 or 3 that I know, are particularly configured to deal with that heavy oil which Venezuela produces.
With government making it clear, the India's energy security is supreme and not compromised. A formal statement is expected soon.
All right, that formal statement, in fact, is coming at 5:15 p.m. when Commerce Minister speaks to the media from the Commerce Ministry headquarters in New Delhi. In the meanwhile, joining us live is Mr. Nirmal Kumar Minda, President of ASSOCHAM, that's a big industry grouping. And very good afternoon, Mr. Minda, for joining us. Thank you so much for sparing time. My question to you is, let's begin with this thing that we have been discussing about India's energy security. President Trump's post mentioned about India agreeing to stop buying Russian oil. Does it make much of a difference insofar as India's energy needs, India's industrial sectors, corporate sectors, energy requirements are concerned? And if we are stopping to purchase Russian oil, do we have other options?
So, thank you very much, and good afternoon to you. I think this is more of a political matter. It is a trade balance one need to do. We as an ASSOCHAM, I cannot comment, what has been negotiated, what was trade deal, what was bilateral, but I can only comment this is a great moment, a historic moment for the Indian economy. I think I would say Honorable Prime Minister Modi, I think I really bows. And, this is when we have done EU deal last week, that was called mother of the deal. I would call it father of the deal, because our maximum exports from our countries to US. And I think we all know that it will be more than 500 billions, US dollar trade, bilateral trade will happen in next 5 years. And our industry will grow. So our Make in India initiative, our Atmanirbhar Bharat will grow, and we will get more and more chance to export in all the suffered sector in the last, 7 months, whether it was textile and gem and jewelries or footwears or auto. As far as your oil question is concerned, I think this is more of a political dealing, I would say. They have to see how to do balance. Everything we can't get, I can say as a layman, something we have to give some time, give up and take up.
Yeah,
but
that's
from 15. to 18%. I think it is a remarkable deal, and that too, one of the best in our neighboring country in the ASEAN.
In fact, Mr. Minda, we have got one feedback by way of the markets and the kind of exuberance they have shown. Another feedback is what you were saying. You are actually calling the deal remarkable, given the fact that it's better than what some of our competing economies have got, including Vietnam and Indonesia, among others.
Bangladesh.
And Bangladesh, of course. What are you hearing from your constituents, from your SOCHM members and industry leaders as to going forward rather? Is it the best deal that could have happened? Is it the thing that was just waiting to happen, and that now we are all set for that next leap to make India the third largest economy?
Yeah, you are very right. We had a post-budget session where we met many government secretaries today and our membership for almost 300 members. And we had a session on this, on a side, what are goods in the different sectors. And I think everybody was very positive and, charmed, I would say. Enthusiasm was there. And, it is a very great initiative for our exports, for, local. We will create a job. And I think our GDP outlook should be more than 8%, I think, and because we are a low-cost country. Let us also realize. But the onus is on us for producing quality and productivity and reduced our costs. So we have to be cost competence and quality. So we have huge opportunity even in our automobile sector. Where I come from, all the components this has to be a manufacturing base, I would put it this way, for the global.
Right. Mr. Minna, just stay with us. I will come back to you for one more question. But I have to get this information for the benefit of our viewers because of all the conundrum that's been created. According to Republic sources in the government, India will continue to buy energy and oil from all sources. In fact, there will also be energy security guardrails to guide all that India and all of India's oil and energy purchases. Not only that, India will also buy non-sanctioned oil from all sources, including Venezuela. And India's fuel security doctrine has historically prioritized strategic autonomy. Remember what Minister Hardeep Puri was telling us just a while ago. I mean, this was in the package, but earlier he spoke to us on budget day, allowing purchases based on prices, market prices, rather than political alignment. Okay, so I come back to you, Mr. Minda. The point that you were making about this being a political question is well taken. But my question is, when you say that now we should be growing more than 8%, is the private sector really willing, ready to shoulder the burden? Because we have seen the private sector not coming in with the money, not putting the money where the mouth is. And that's something which was flagged by the economic survey also. So now you think with the mother of the deals and the daddy of the deals all in place, the private sector has to now start sharing its share of responsibility.
So yes, I would say you must have seen there in the recent budget also, and on the top of the budget, the today deal, there are a lot of ease of doing business in different sector has been announced. One of the pillar from our SOCHM this year, we have requested government for 5-pillar approach. First and foremost is Make in India. And for Make in India, we requested government for different areas in the ease of doing business. Then MSME growth. And you have seen the MSME outlay of 10,000 crore and 5,000 crore in tier 2, tier 3 cities. And the ease of doing business also you have seen in taxation, you have seen in custom duty, digitization initiatives, and of course, sustainability. So with all these 5 pillars, the recent budget announcement, I think the mood is very positive. In our sector, we have been investing. You have seen many of them setting the car plants coming into different zones and the component manufacturing. I think this will be horizontal deployed in all the sector once the demand increases. And, we all have to focus on localization. We all in all sector, we in SOCHMs are, now telling our membership, The government is doing whatever they are doing, their best, because of their deficit, trade balance, and whatever is in their pocket, I would say. But the onus is on us now to see that what is good for the nation. How can we improve how can we, work together, and with all this ease of doing business, how can we reduce imports and in each sectors, and positive trade balance, balance in with the export and export by increasing our productivity and quality.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I would have wanted to have this question also from you as to whether this trade deal is going to adversely impact the otherwise favorable balance of trade situation with the United States. But maybe later, Mr. Minda, thank you so much for joining us as we have to move on and to the next one, which is the ups and downs of the turbulence that India-US, not just the trade relationship, but the larger relationship went through because of the kind of Trump tantrums we had to live with the tariffs going up, going down, going up, going down. Let's look at the details.
India has clinched a landmark trade deal with the United States yesterday. US President Donald Trump announced an immediate reduction in reciprocal tariffs on Indian exports. The breakthrough was confirmed following a phone call between US President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This brings immediate tariff relief to Indian exporters and signals a reset in bilateral trade relations between the two biggest democracies. Trump's announcement comes shortly after India signed a major free trade agreement with the European Union, a move widely seen as increasing pressure on Washington to close the deal. The India-EU deal, dubbed the mother of all deals and finalized after nearly 2 decades of negotiations, gives India sweeping duty-free access to the European Union's $572.3 billion pharmaceuticals and medical devices market. The US tariff cut also comes a day after India presented its union budget, with key provisions aimed at offsetting the impact of Trump's 50% tariffs on Indian goods. Even as the deal was sealed, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar departed for the United States to attend a ministerial meeting on critical minerals, underscoring the broader strategic engagement underway. The India-US trade talks had slowed significantly since August, when ties took a sharp downturn after Washington imposed a 50% tariff on Indian goods, citing New Delhi's continued purchase of Russian oil. In July, Trump had already announced additional tariffs on all Indian goods, warning of penalties if India continued energy imports from Russia. The impasse finally began to ease after months of negotiations. In September, President Trump publicly expressed hope that the dispute would be resolved soon. And in December, Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke over the telephone, reviewing progress in the India-US partnership. While there was no immediate announcement on trade, both leaders acknowledged discussions on expanding cooperation in critical technologies, energy, defense, security, and trade. In January, US Ambassador Sergio Gore confirmed that the two countries were inching closer to a trade agreement. And yesterday, it was finally announced. The deal not only delivers relief to Indian exporters, but also reinforces India's growing leverage in global trade negotiations.
All right, friends, let's slim a short break, because on the other side, we are coming up with Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal's statement on the Indo-US trade deal that he's going to make from his office in the Commerce Ministry just a while later at 5:15.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद ये तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा, सबका राजा और प्योर मसाला। मेरी चिमनी टूट जाएगी. What are you doing?
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं.
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा.
रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना.
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं. रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड. अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने. Hi, good morning to you. Good evening from India. We have announcement of a trade deal, and you've seen both sides. Trump says that India has promised not to buy Russian oil, but Indian Prime Minister's response makes no such commitment. But Trump says, I've reduced the tariffs to 18%. And then he says that besides everything else, Prime Minister Modi has also agreed to buy American, in addition to 300 billion in, 500 billion in some other purchases. Anyway, there's an existing agreement to buy 300 billion, so there's not much of a hard-coded commitment from the Indian side. So Trump is obviously using a lot of hyperbole, making...
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे. केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार. विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी.
प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला. Delicious, healthy, every day.
This morning, Rahul Gandhi, leader of the opposition, created a ruckus and furor in the parliament. In response to the president's address, he insisted upon raising what he said were some issues of vital import to our national security. So what was he saying? He was trying to cite an article from the Caravan magazine, which in turn was quoting excerpts from General Narwane, the former army chief's unpublished memoirs. It may be recalled that the government had stopped General Narwane from publishing the book. As such, the authenticity of the excerpts cited in the Caravan magazine itself are open to question. But then let's try and take a deeper look at what is this bravura all about. So I have had a detailed look at the article in the Caravan magazine. I have no access to General Narwane's book or manuscript, but we had a look at the Caravan article in detail. So what does this article say? This article talks of the 2020 Chinese intrusions, which had culminated in the Galwan incident, in which 19 Indian soldiers had lost their lives. No weapons had been used, but the Chinese had laid an ambush with pointed stones, with baseball bats wrapped up.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार.
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला. केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे. केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार. विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल. ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े. क्या निराला MDH मसाला.
Hi, good morning to you. Good evening from India. We have announcement of a trade deal, and you've seen both sides. Trump says that India has promised not to buy Russian oil, but Indian Prime Minister's response makes no such commitment.
But Trump says, I've reduced the tariffs to 18%. And then he says that besides everything else, Prime Minister Modi has also agreed to buy American, in addition to 300 billion in, 500 billion in some other purchases. Anyway, there's an existing agreement to buy 300 billion. So there's not much of a hard-coded commitment from the Indian side. So Trump is obviously using a lot of hyperbole, making some claims. But the good thing is there's an announcement of a deal. But there's more statements coming from Trump than from India, especially to Trump's statement that India has agreed to stop buying Russian oil. There's nothing official from the Indian side to that. How do you view these developments, Professor Sachs?
Well, basically, the United States is unstable and irresponsible, but backing down from the most outlandish actions of this government a few months ago. They made no sense. They antagonized India. They disrupted trade. And I think somebody finally explained to Trump that none of this was serving any American interests at all. And so Trump is back.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
It's 4 p.m. and we, in a short while from now, in fact, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal will be making his first statement. And in fact, as many would say, the man of the moment, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal has been part of the entire negotiating team. Abhishek, you've been following very closely what was essentially seen as the first of its block, as the first trade deal with the United States of America, happened to be the last set of the countries which have actually managed to get that trade deal. But many would say, not just the mother of the deals, but the father of deals happening with the United States of America as far as this deal goes, 18% as far as the reciprocal tariffs are concerned. The fine print as to what does this deal essentially mean for you and I, and for various other sectors where this would have a direct impact. In the next couple of minutes, we're going to take you through the fine print of the deal. And of course, at 5:15 this evening is when Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal would be addressing. First up, let me take you through the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Lok Sabha chaos as Rahul Gandhi's speech stopped over ex-army chief. Memor mentioned Congress parliamentarians throw papers at chair, later suspended.
ट्रेड डील में आपकी मेहनत को, आपके खून पसीने को नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने बेच दिया है.
Rahul Gandhi's big charge on US trade deal says Prime Minister is compromised, sold the nation. Republic has the inside scoop from India parliamentary meeting. Prime Minister Modi says India-US trade sign of a new world order. Dalal Street cheers India-US deal, markets soar over 2.5% on India-US pact. And the first statement from Kremlin on the trade deal. Kremlin says no signal from India on buying Russian oil.
बाइबल निकाल लिया उसने।
Ladies and gentlemen, India-US trade deal has undoubtedly been one of a kind, slashing the reciprocal tariffs down to about 18%. Now, as what we have essentially pointed out, Pranav, what was being talked about as perhaps being the first trade deal that the United States of America would have had was with India. Turned out to be one of the last set. Well, but having said that, we still do not know the fine print as far as this trade deal goes. This morning, there was a lot of confusion as far as oil is concerned. Are we really stopping buying oil from Russia? Kremlin has put out a statement just a short while back. Now, that's the other big lead now coming in. The fine print is something that even Abhishek is in the studio. We're going to take out through the details in a short while from now. Pranav, but first to you, with regards to what are you picking up in terms of what's in the deal?
Well, the government has clearly mentioned, if you looked at the measured response that the government of India has put out, we are clearly not compromising on certain sectors that are labor intensive, that matter to, job creation within the country. So dairy sector, agriculture sector are definitely not getting compromised, is what the government has clarified, is what sources tell us. That's something that we protected when it comes to deals with other countries such as Australia, such as with EU. And we are firm on the fact that these sectors will not be compromised, is what government is telling us as far as these sectors go.
Well, in fact, the devil lies in the details. As far as concessions are concerned, that clarity hasn't really come in. What are the concessions that we've essentially given to US at this stage? Is there any clarity with regards to how are we really going about?
Well, what we are understanding is that the fine print is still work in progress. Union Minister Piyush Goyal, S. Jaishankar, if I'm not wrong, is already working on the project. So we are expecting some sort of clarity over the next few days. If you remember, quite like the EU deal, which though the announcement was made, it's still going to go through legal scrutiny. What we are also understanding is that parliamentary clearances are also required. So obviously it's going to take about a year. And on similar lines, when we were talking to our sources within the industry, what we learned was that the US-India trade deal is also likely to follow a similar process of legal scrutiny as well as, legislative clearances.
Well, in fact, two such things that we have picked up as far as Americans are concerned, because this is what the Americans are saying, because they seem to be, putting out more information as to what exactly is in the deal. First, with regards to the claim that Trump has essentially made that we are essentially going to buy more than $500 billion worth of American goods, which basically includes energy, technology, agriculture and coal products. And perhaps if we can get Abhishek ready on this, because a short while back, the Secretary of Agriculture has put out a statement saying that there would be access as far as agricultural sector is concerned, which means American products also come in. Because I'm just going to quote what US Agriculture Secretary has stated, saying that the trade deal will improve the access to American farm products to India's massive market. So what does that essentially mean right now in terms of bringing in American goods? Does that not become a cause of concern?
We need to again wait for the fine print, because though market access is given, there are a lot of challenges in terms of standards, in terms of, non-tariff barriers. We need to, really get into the fine print to understand whether even if the tariffs are removed, even if the tariffs are reduced, whether the fine print actually also removes or addresses the non-tariff barriers is something we need to look at. So we'll obviously have to wait and watch. But Abhishek, isn't it? I mean, as far as in fact, the 500 billion number that you mentioned, if you remember just yesterday when we were talking to one of the experts, he says India's export basket is itself valued at 700 billion. How is it that India is going to really export products worth 500 billion from just one nation?
Well, in fact, I'm not too sure if Abhishek is just ready. We'll just bring him in a while from now. First, let me also take you through what exactly does this mean as far as the markets are concerned. The markets undoubtedly has been unstoppable. There's been bullish energy today as India and the United States have locked in a game-changing trade deal. Now, here are some of the market highlights. BSE Sensex exploded over 2,000 points right out of the gate, while the Nifty 50 basically surged over 600 points. The Indian rupee powered ahead by 1.2%, firming sharply to around 90 rupees per dollar as export competitiveness gets a massive boost for textiles, pharma, chemicals, gems and jewelry, seafood, apparel and more. Now, from tariff threats hanging like a dark cloud to this triumphant breakthrough, the India-US deal has unleashed the bulls full throttle, delivering a blockbuster session that screams confidence, restored a momentum, reloaded. Dalal Street is back in the beast mode. So some of the quick highlights, if I may ask you, how the market has basically responded. It was on the expected lines also. I believe Ashish Wakankar is joining us on this broadcast. Perhaps, Pranav, you can take this forward.
Sure. Ashish, thank you very much for joining us. We saw the markets rallying today. I mean, after the budget day where we witnessed a massive, a long red candle formed. Yesterday, there were some green shoots, and today the market opened with gap up. How do you read the candle? It opened 5% up, and it's now closed 2.5%. So that's about a 2.5% of loss during the day. How do you view this candle technically? How do you view this?
Thanks, Pranav. Thanks for inviting. As many would say, this kind of reaction from the market was expected. If you look at it, the sectors which were badly affected, with like knitted apparels, garments, shrimp exports, these were some of the sectors which probably had some of the highest tariff imposed on them. So when the headwinds are cleared, it's only natural that some of these sectors would have better visibility of earnings. And what you saw today was the companies and the sector was within this rally. So it's kind of expected. I wouldn't say this is surprising. But as and how we move ahead over the days, as the fine print of the deal comes out, we will have a better clarity. I think the one, data point which I would say one needs to look at and follow very carefully are the tweets coming from our Prime Minister. They are more calibrated, they are more nuanced than the ones coming from the other side. So one thing is very clear, that we have conveyed our compliments to the American side for bringing down the tariff to 18%. But as I was hearing you also speak right now on the channel along with Shravan, I think the fine print is more important. I'm not too worried about the legal part of it, nor the the legislative part of it. I'm fairly confident it will go through. But I think the fine print, as far as the trade agreement is concerned, once it comes out, we will have a better clarity. So but till then, I think markets will keep on moving. And there could be some volatility also, given the fact that news flow will be there. There will be some counterpoints that will come out. But overall, I think the path is quite clear, and the intent is very clear that we are headed towards signing this trade agreement, which was pending for a while. And last but definitely not the least, one good thing is the India-EU deal took 19 years. This has probably taken 8-9 months. So over the next few months, the clarity will even emerge, and we'll have a better idea.
Do you think the late night announcement of the trade deal kind of trapped those who were shorting India? I mean, are you long India now? Do you think the FIIs have a reason to be long India now?
The FIIs have a reason to long India always, because this is the only large economy which is growing at 8+%. Okay, you had PK with you, and he's one of the foremost guys who had seen this come through. I mean, I don't think anybody saw 8+% GDP growth coming other than PK. So anyway, my point is, everything. You look at the inflation. For the first time, the inflation has gone down to sub 1%. I'd never thought in my life India's CPI inflation would be less than 1%. You have an economy which is growing at 8.2%. The drivers of India's growth are investment-led. You have nearly 11 trillion rupees worth of capital expenditure the government is doing. There is no stimulus given to the economy. There is nothing to say that the government has not been disciplined in terms of its glide path of fiscal deficit. As far as fiscal deficit, every metric, I think the government has ticked all the check boxes and it's done a fabulous job. So the only natural part of such an economy will be seen on the corporate and then the corporate earnings. So I don't see a reason why the foreign institutional investors who have a long-term view, I don't know about traders, I don't understand that part at all, but long-term investors who have the appetite and the ability to take at least a 5+ year view. And now with the recent 20-year tax holiday, I think you have a clear visibility in front of you. There is a reason that there was a rush towards the AI stocks, which India lacked. So investments moved. There was a huge amount of profit taking, and some element of it moved to US, some element of the profits moved to China. But long term, I don't think there is any other market, any other economy which they and of this size that they can miss. So India is an all-time all 365 days, next 5-10 years destination for foreign investors.
That this could probably be a knee-jerk reaction, and that, as you rightly said, that there could be a devil in the detail, and there could be one more reaction from the market if things do not work out the way it is expecting probably today.
Sorry, that's for me?
Perhaps
for Ashish.
Take that to Gurneet, because Gurneet is...
Gurneet, Gurneet, if you could help me. Ashish was telling us that the markets have reacted positively. The FII seem to have a reason to come back to India as long-term investors. What we were asking was that if the market has already reacted today on the news that there is a trade deal being signed between India and the US, do you think there is a further reaction or a further correction possible if the finer print reveals that the devil is in the detail and things do not actually work out or seem to be as rosy as the trade deal promised them to be? Do you think the markets could correct themselves once again?
See, in the short run, depending upon the blueprint, somehow I don't think so there'll be too many negatives there. But assuming there could be some knee-jerk reaction. But you have to look at beyond markets. See, markets eventually will reflect economy. See, the textile sector in India employs about 4.5 crore people and almost like 10 crore households, which is the second largest after agriculture. And there was an impact. So two things have happened. You have an India-EU deal, which has happened. So EU makes up 20% of our textile. US makes up around 30% of our sales. So suddenly 50% of the market, you are now as competitive, in fact, more competitive than a lot of trading partners. In EU, for example, Pakistan and our export share in apparel is same, 4%, 5%. You have Bangladesh at 20%. You have Turkey, you have a host of other nations. So I think there is a huge opportunity here, not from a market point of view, but in terms of upliftment of the broader sector, because it employs so many people. Second, from an FII perspective, on the secondary market, they've been selling India for a while now. And the reasons were that they found more opportunities attractive in US, in China, in Korea. India missed the AI trade a little bit. And a lot of money actually went to markets which offered that AI and high-tech trade. So at some point of time now, with the growth coming back and earnings coming back, I think the FII flows will also return. I don't agree that what you have seen today is just a glimpse of what will happen if deal is implemented in true spirit. I think because FIIs are net sellers, they are 88% short on the market, and they have pulled out almost a little over $100 billion in the last 2.5 years. I think we haven't seen any flows. In fact, I'll be surprised even if the flows are today a very large positive number. So I think flows will return, provided our earnings catch up. I think if there's only good news, but if the corporate earnings do not catch up and remain in single digit, then I think the FIs are not going to come back, irrespective of the trade deal or no trade deal.
I would want to ask you here, Do corporate earnings have a reason
Pranav,
that they may not gather?
Sorry to interrupt you. I believe there's a breaking news now coming in. I'll just request Gurneet also to stay with us as we just move out of the story coming in from the DGCA. This is with regards to what we reported just about 24 hours ago as far as the fuel switch defect that was reported from Air India Bengaluru London flight. DGCA, it seems, have now put out a statement in which I'm given to understand that there has been a response coming in. This is what the DGCA says before I go across to Harsha. In the statement, they're categorically pointing out that there has been no abnormal engine parameters, cautions, warnings or related system messages were observed. During engine start or at any time thereafter, the flight was completed without incident. Applied external force in an incorrect direction caused the switch to move easily from run to cutoff due to the angular base plate allowing slip when pressed improperly with finger or thumb. Now, just to simplify this, it now seems that the DGCA is saying that the fuel switch defect or the fuel switch that has essentially happened from run to cutoff has actually happened because of an error that was made by the pilot. Let me also bring in my colleague Harsha. Harsha, it seems a pure contradiction here. Air India, in its statement, had admitted that such a thing actually happened. DGCA now goes on to say that this has happened because the fuel switch was moved from run to cutoff by the pilot himself.
Yes, Shravan, you rightly pointed out, and just now I spoke to Mr. Siddiqui as well, who's a DGCA DG. He clearly told me that we are not trying to put the onus on the pilot. Rather, we are trying to tell everyone that there was no issue and there was unnecessary contact. If you read some words used in this DGCA statement, they clearly are stating, because pilot said that 2 times he tried. Kumar Gaurav was the pilot in command of the aircraft. He tried 2 times, but automatically the control switch went from run to cutoff. But here in the DGCA notice, they are clearly stating that in the third attempt, the switch latched correctly in the run.
You know what is surprising also, Harsha, I'm just sorry to interrupt you here, because from the statement, and I'm just quoting from the statement, they say both left and right switches were checked and they were found satisfactory with the locking tooth fully seated and not slipping from run to cutoff. When full force was applied parallel to the base plate, the switch remained secure. However, applying external force in an incorrect direction caused the switch to move easily from run to cutoff. So it seems there are 2 points. One, with regards to the lock, which prevents a move from run to cutoff. There too, it seems that there was a problem that has been reported on your screens right now. That's the exact paragraph that we are basically highlighting, where it seems that the DGCA in just about 24 hours has been able to come to a conclusion that it is an error that was being made, and that is the reason why when this report actually came in, it suggested that this was an error that was made by the pilot and has nothing to do with the aircraft itself. So far, no action has been taken by Air India as far as these Dreamliners are concerned. Remember, this is the same Dreamliner that met with an ill-fated accident in the month of June last year. As far as this flight is concerned, Harsha, anything that the airline is saying, is the airline once again defending the fact that there is no problem, despite the fact that there have been other federal agencies abroad who have basically raised this concern that there is a problem as far as this panel is concerned?
Shravan, Air India has been giving temperature response yesterday also and today as well. In fact, Boeing also stated that there is no mechanical or electrical issue in the Boeing aircraft. Air India yesterday came out with the temperature response that the checks were done. The Boeing aircraft Dreamliner was perfectly fine. There was no issue with the fuel control switch. Today they said it, and the DGCA observation also clearly states that there is an issue with pilot. That means that clearly tried to tell that there was incorrect positioning which was being tried to be made by the pilot. That means that pilot was untrained. Are they trying to put the onus on pilot by saying that he was not very well trained to handle the mechanism of the Boeing, that he was not well trained to be aware of the fuel control switch? Because if we see the logbook entry, Mr. Kumar Gaurav, the pilot in command, clearly stated that twice he tried, the switch was not being locked. and it was continuously slipping from run to cut off. 2 attempts failed, and the observation says that third attempt was successful. In third attempt, it was unnecessary contact, while Kumar Gaurav in the logbook entry has never stated it. And yesterday when we spoke to several experts, they also stated that this was a very dangerous situation and the flight should have been AOG in London Heathrow only. But the flight came to Bangalore. It was AOG. And since morning, the Boeing inspections are being conducted. And today, Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu in the Parliament also off record stated that the inspections are underway. There's no issue with the Boeing. The Boeing also gives the temperature response. There's no issue with the Dreamliner. And Air India has been giving temperature response since the AI-171 crash. So this time also, like the AI-171, a mindset is being tried to be flouted that this is pilot. This is not the Boeing mechanism. This is not the Boeing system. This is not the Boeing electrical failure or the engine issue in which the Boeing is not working fine. It's the pilot error. It's the pilot issue. Back to you.
Well, Harsha, thank you very much for getting us that big breaking news coming in. In fact, we're waiting for a statement to come in from Air India, because if you see the statement that was issued by the airline, there appears to be a clear contradiction on this entire issue. Coming up, the man of the moment, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, who would be addressing the media in a short while from now.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मम्मा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा, राजा और प्योर मसाला, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो, मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
This morning,
Start a very important briefing for which there was a great desire from your side. Commerce Minister will issue a statement on the US deal. There will be no Q&A. Sir will have make the statement in Hindi and in English. Thank you. Over to sir.
मित्रों, आज हर भारतवासी देश भर में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का साधुवाद कर रहा है कि उन्होंने यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका के साथ एक बहुत ही बढ़िया ट्रेड डील, जिसका देशवासियों को कई महीनों से इंतजार था, संपन्न किया है। देशहित और जनहित को सामने रखते हुए एक बड़ा मजबूत भारत के भविष्य को 4 चांद लगाने वाला ट्रेड डील माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में कल रात फाइनलाइज किया गया है। मैं 140 करोड़ देशवासियों की तरफ से माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का धन्यवाद करता हूं और आप सभी को बधाई देता हूं, क्योंकि ये वास्तव में भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था को, भारत के 140 करोड़ नागरिकों को, हर गरीब, किसान, मछुआरा, गांव में रहने वाला युवा, युवती, हमारी बहनें, महिलाएं, सभी के लिए ढेर सारे अवसर लाने वाला ट्रेड डील माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कल तय किया। साधारणतः तो हम पार्लियामेंट में बोलना चाहते थे इसके बारे में, लेकिन हम सबने देखा भद्दा दृश्य, जिस प्रकार से विपक्ष विशेषकर राहुल गांधी जी के नेतृत्व में कांग्रेस पार्टी और उनके मित्र पक्ष डीएमके, तृणमूल कांग्रेस, समाजवादी पार्टी, कितना भद्दा व्यवहार आज उन्होंने पार्लियामेंट में किया। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी की आसन तक पहुंचकर उनका अपमान किया। मैं घोर निंदा करता हूं विपक्ष की, राहुल गांधी जी की, जिसके कारण हम पार्लियामेंट के बदले आज आपके समक्ष यहां पे जानकारी देने आए हैं। हम सब जानते हैं कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने अपने मित्रता के रखते प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप के साथ जो उनके आत्मीय संबंध है, उसके मद्देनजर जो ट्रेड डील यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका के साथ फाइनलाइज की है, वो हमारे सभी पड़ोसी, सभी आसपास के देश, सभी जो देश हमारे साथ स्पर्धा करते हैं, उन सभी देशों में सबसे बढ़िया डील भारत को मिली है। आप सबको, हम सबको मिली है, जो देशवासियों के उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए शुभ संकेत लाती है। हम सब जानते हैं महीनों से हमारी नेगोशिएटिंग टीम्स यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका के अधिकारियों के साथ, मंत्रियों के साथ लगातार डायलॉग बनाई हुई थी, बातचीत में कर रही थी। कई सारे जटिल विषय थे, कई सारी समस्याएं थी। भारत के ऊपर 50% रेसिप्रोकल टैरिफ लगा हुआ था। उद्योग जगत को, हमारे किसानों को जो बड़ी मात्रा में निर्यात करते हैं, सभी को तकलीफ हो रही थी। हमारे मरीन एक्सपोर्टर्स, सी फूड एक्सपोर्टर्स भी दिक्कत में थे। वस्त्र क्षेत्र, टेक्सटाइल सेक्टर में भी आवश्यकता थी कि ये रेट कम हो। यहां तक कि कुछ दिन पहले तक विपक्ष के नेता भी हमें पूछ रहे थे कि कब होगा यूएस डील। और मैं हैरान हूं, ये डबल स्टैंडर्ड्स जो राहुल गांधी जी बार बार दिखाते हैं। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने कल इतनी बढ़िया डील भारत के लिए तय की है, जो इतने वर्ष, एक महीनों में हम तय नहीं कर पा रहे थे। उन्होंने अपने मित्रता के आधार पर भारत के हितों को प्राथमिकता देते हुए और भारत की तेज गति से बढ़ती हुई अर्थव्यवस्था को विश्व के सामने जिस प्रकार से पेश किया है, उसके चलते भारत को ये बढ़िया डील माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में मिली है। मैं पुनः एक बार उनके नेतृत्व के लिए, उनके मार्गदर्शन के लिए और जिस प्रकार से उन्होंने जनहित और देशहित को संभाला है, उसके लिए उनका धन्यवाद करता हूं। मित्रों, हम सब जानते हैं, पूरा देश जानता है किस प्रकार से माननीय प्रधानमंत्री हमेशा हमारे किसानों के लिए, पशुपालन के साथ जुड़े हुए हमारे भाई बहनों के लिए, डेयरी सेक्टर के लिए लगातार चिंतित रहते हैं, उनके हितों की संरक्षण करते हैं। यहां तक कि हमने देखा इतना बड़ा ट्रेड डील, रीजनल कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक पार्टनरशिप आरसेप, जिसमें कांग्रेस ने भारत को झोंक दिया था 2011-12 में, एक प्रकार से चाइना के साथ एफटीए करने का पाप राहुल गांधी ने किया था, उससे भी माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने देश को बचाया और आरसेप से जुड़ने से इनकार कर दिया, जिसके बाद पूरे देश में राहत की सब चारों ओर से सूचना आई थी। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने हमेशा एग्रीकल्चर और डेयरी इन दोनों सेक्टर्स को संभाला है, उनके हितों को संभाला है और इस क्षेत्र में लोगों को उज्जवल भविष्य मिले और मौके मिले, आमदनी बढ़े, उसके लिए लगातार काम किया है। कभी उनके साथ, उनके हितों के साथ समझौता माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने नहीं होने दिया और मुझे खुशी है कि पूरा देश इस बात को समझता है, इस बात का उनको आकलन है और यूएस ट्रेड डील में भी भारत के जो सेंसिटिव सेक्टर्स हैं, एग्रीकल्चर को लेके, डेयरी को लेके, उनको संरक्षित किया गया है। हमने पूरे देश भर से आई हुई खबरों को देखा, चारों ओर उल्लास है। हमारे जितने लोग भारत के निर्यात में जुड़े हुए हैं, भारत के टेक्नोलॉजी सेक्टर से जुड़े हुए हैं, भारत में नई आधुनिक टेक्नोलॉजी लाकर या ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन्स, ग्लोबल वैल्यू चेन्स का हिस्सा बनना चाहते हैं, ग्लोबल कैपेबिलिटी सेंटर्स लगाना चाहते हैं, निवेश करना चाहते हैं। अलग अलग क्षेत्र जो विशेषकर लेबर इंटेंसिव है, जिसमें लाखों करोड़ों लोगों को नौकरी का, रोजगार का साधन मिलता है, वो सब कितने उत्साहित हैं इस ट्रेड डील से। हमारे मछुआरे जो सी फूड एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं, उन्होंने जिस प्रकार से सभी कोस्टल रीजन्स में खुशी मनाई है, ये दर्शाता है कि ये ट्रेड डील भारत के उज्जवल भविष्य का शुभ संकेत लेके आई है। मित्रों, मैं मानता हूं कि इस ट्रेड डील से हमारे जो सूक्ष्म, लघु और मध्यम उद्योग है, एमएसएमई सेक्टर है, हमारे इंजीनियरिंग सेक्टर के सभी प्लेयर्स, चाहे ऑटो कंपोनेंट्स बनाते हो, एयरक्राफ्ट पार्ट्स बनाते हो, इंजीनियरिंग के अलग अलग प्रकार के सामान अमेरिका में बेचने का काम करते हो या भविष्य में करना चाहें, हमारे टेक्सटाइल क्षेत्र, हमारा जेम एंड ज्वेलरी सेक्टर, हमारा लेदर गुड सेक्टर, हमारा मरीन गुड सेक्टर, सभी को ढेर सारे अवसर, ढेर सारे मौके इस ट्रेड डील के माध्यम से मिलेंगे। बड़ा दुर्भाग्य है कि राहुल गांधी जैसे नकारात्मक सोच रखने वाले नेता देश को आज गुमराह या भ्रमित करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। मैं घोर निंदा करता हूं राहुल गांधी जी की। झूठ और फरेब के नाम पे वो लोगों को गुमराह करना चाहते हैं। उनको देश की तरक्की से कोई लेना देना नहीं है। देश आगे बढ़ रहा है, विश्व की सबसे तेज गति से बढ़ने वाली अर्थव्यवस्था बना है, उनको उससे कोई दिलचस्पी नहीं है। उनका बस चले तो जिस प्रकार से यूपीए के राज में, कांग्रेस के राज में 10 वर्षों में उन्होंने भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था को ध्वस्त कर दिया था, फ्रेजाइल 5 इकोनॉमी बना दी, महंगाई से लोगों को परेशान कर दिया, विकास यात्रा ठप कर दी। उनका बस चलेगा तो भारत को फिर एक बार उसी प्रकार से देखना चाहेंगे। और मुझे नहीं लगता भारत का एक भी व्यक्ति, एक भी नागरिक उनके इस भ्रामक सोच के साथ अपने आप को जोड़ सकता है। राहुल गांधी जी एक नकारात्मक सोच के प्रतीक है और उनके साथ जुड़कर डीएमके पार्टी के नेता हो, तृणमूल के नेता हो, चाहे वो समाजवादी पार्टी के नेता हो, इन सभी ने शायद भारत के उज्जवल भविष्य, हमारे युवा युवतियों को जो नए अवसर मिल रहे हैं, जो हमारा उद्योग तेज गति से आगे प्रगति करने के लिए तत्पर है, जो नए नए क्षेत्र, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस हो, सेमीकंडक्टर्स हो, क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स हो, नए नए अति आधुनिक जो क्षेत्र खुल रहे हैं, उसमें जो हमें यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका से मदद मिल सकती है, जो वहां से हमें सामान मिल सकता है, हाई क्वालिटी हाई परफॉर्मेंस डेटा सेंटर्स भारत में आ सकते हैं, लाखों करोड़ रुपए का जो निवेश हम भारत में आकर्षित करने में जुटे हुए हैं। राहुल गांधी जी को क्या मिर्ची लगती है? राहुल गांधी जी को देश की प्रगति से नफरत है? राहुल गांधी जी को हमारी बहनों से, हमारे युवा युवतियों से कोई नाराजगी है, जो उनका उज्जवल भविष्य उनसे देखा नहीं जाता है? उन्होंने जवाब देना पड़ेगा देश की जनता को कि इस नकारात्मक सोच के पीछे वो क्या चाहते हैं। और मित्रों, मैं पूरी तरीके से निंदा करता हूं राहुल गांधी जी और उनके सभी पार्टी और मित्र पक्ष के नेताओं का, जो इस प्रकार की ओछी सोच, नकारात्मक सोच फैलाने का पाप कर रहे हैं। वो भारत का उज्जवल भविष्य नहीं चाहते। वो हर प्रकार से राजनीतिक अराजकता फैलाने की कोशिश करते हैं। पार्लियामेंट में आपने उनका रवैया देखा, उनका सोच पूरे देश ने देखा। वो हमारे आर्मी के जवानों पर कम विश्वास करते हैं, हमारे सेना के ऊपर प्रश्न चिन्ह उठाते हैं, हमारे उद्योग जगत के भविष्य को खराब करना चाहते हैं। मुझे लगता है अब समय आ गया है कि देश की जनता, राहुल गांधी जी हो, ममता बनर्जी जी हो, चाहे तृणमूल के अभिषेक बैनर्जी हो या तमिलनाडु के एमके स्टालिन, उदयनिधि स्टालिन, बालू, श्री बालू जी, श्री मारन जी, कानीमोजी जी, कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी के नेता, समाजवादी के अखिलेश यादव जी, देश की जनता इन सब नेताओं से माफी मांगेगी और उनको जवाबदेही ठहराएगी उनके इस नकारात्मक रवैये के लिए। वो जनहित के पूरी तरीके से खिलाफ है, वो देश की प्रगति, देश के उज्जवल भविष्य के खिलाफ है। अनाप शनाप आरोप लगा रहे हैं और जिस प्रकार के विषय उठा रहे हैं। एक नेता ने पूछा, अमेरिकी अध्यक्ष ने, अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति ने पहले क्यों ट्वीट किया? अरे भाई, रेसिप्रोकल टैरिफ तो अमेरिका ने लगाया था, अमेरिका ने रेसिप्रोकल टैरिफ कम करना था। तो जब उनको टैरिफ कम करना है और 50 से सीधा 18% इतना कम हुआ, तो उसकी जानकारी तो उधर से ही आएगी। स्वाभाविक है कि उनको टैरिफ कम करना है, तो उसकी जानकारी राष्ट्रपति माननीय डोनाल्ड ट्रंप जी देंगे। और इस मौके पे मैं माननीय राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रंप का भी धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं, जिन्होंने प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के मित्रता का सम्मान किया। उन्होंने माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी को विश्व का, हमारे स्पर्धा वाले देशों में सबसे अच्छा बढ़िया ट्रेड डील दिया और आगे चल के भारत और अमेरिका के बीच संबंध और मजबूत हो और उज्जवल भविष्य दोनों देशों के लोगों का हम सुनिश्चित करें, उसकी शुभेच्छा दी। और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि ये जो ट्रेड डील की गई है, ये मात्र एक ट्रेड डील नहीं है, ये एक पड़ाव है भारत के उज्जवल भविष्य का। ये आगे आने वाले दिनों का शुभ संकेत है जब भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था और तेजी से आगे बढ़ेगी। आज चारों ओर इसकी सराहना देखने को मिलती है। कल रात से ही जिस प्रकार से देश और विदेश में लोग इस डील की तारीफ कर रहे हैं, जिस प्रकार से चारों ओर लोग सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं भारत और यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका के बीच ये डील, मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि ये जो जनता ने ठुकराए हुए नेता हैं, द फेल्ड ग्रुप ऑफ disparate, disgruntled and rejected leaders of the Congress party and their friends in the DMK, Trinamool Congress, Communist parties, Samajwadi Party, the entire India Alliance leaders who have failed India very badly, who have failed Bharat in all respects, will be rejected by the people of India, who will teach them a lesson for their negativity and for their anti-India, anti-national thinking. Friends, we stand for the people of India, we stand for national interest, and today 140 crore Indians are celebrating a trade deal which is under final stages of detailing between the negotiating teams of both countries. We will be shortly issuing a joint statement by both countries along with the details which we will be shortly inking between the United States of America and India. And as soon as the final understanding of the deal is inked and the joint statement is finalized, technical processes are completed, full details will be shared. But I can assure the people of India, I can assure 140 crore brothers and sisters that this is a deal that will make every Indian proud, that will protect the interest of every Indian and provide huge opportunities for all the people of India and will protect the sensitive sectors, the interests of our agriculture and our dairy sectors in full respect, opening up huge opportunities for our labor-intensive sectors, export sectors in textiles, plastics, apparel, home decor, leather and footwear, gems and jewelry, organic chemicals, rubber goods, machineries, so many products, aircraft components. This is truly a deal that every Indian can be proud of. India is a fast-growing economy. We are the fastest-growing large economy in the country, in the world. India's demand is continuously increasing. Our demand for ICT products, our demand for data center equipment, our demand for high-quality technology and innovation, our demand for raw materials is continuously rising. And in that situation, this deal also opens up opportunities for India to get the best-in-class, world-class technologies to further power the India growth story, the Indian economy. I commend this deal to every Indian, to 140 crore Bharatvasis. Thank you very much.
Right, that was Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, who was giving a statement on the India-US trade deal. And at the same time, hitting back at the opposition over their narrative around the trade deal and what happened in the parliament today, saying that Rahul Gandhi is misleading the nation with his lies. Meanwhile, he also said that the trade deal ushers in India into a new era of economic growth, and also saying that Congress is the one who forced China deal on India in 2012. He spoke about the China deal, hitting back with that charge, saying that Modi government has not compromised on agriculture. So remember, agriculture was one of the sticky points as far as this trade deal is concerned, and there have been murmurs that that what really has been the deal as far as agriculture is concerned. Rahul Gandhi and Congress leaders had been trying to raise questions on this point, so much so that even goes on to say, Rahul Gandhi even goes on to say that Prime Minister Modi has sold off the nation. But today we had the Commerce Minister hitting back, saying that this US deal, their trade deal with US, protects the farmers, protects the dairy sector. There has been no compromise on agriculture. And in fact, he goes on to say that Rahul Gandhi is only trying to mislead the nation and that Congress intends to propagate political anarchy. We also have some breaking news coming in right now. There's going to be a joint statement to be issued very, very soon. India and United States will be issuing a joint statement on the trade deal shortly. So that's the update we are getting in right now. The world has its eyes on this trade deal, and India and US are going to issue this joint statement. Abhishek Kapoor, Senior Executive Editor, joins us on the broadcast for more. Abhishek, what do we expect from the statement? There's going to be a joint statement very shortly.
Well, Rakshita, we had a political headback, so to say, from Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal at the opposition, specifically Rahul Gandhi, the leader of opposition, for the manner in which he has sought to not just politicize but even trivialize some of the gains made by India by questioning the issue of agriculture sector, dairy sector. To that extent, the statement by Commerce Minister has been clarificatory in nature, saying that no farmers' interests have been compromised. In fact, Piyush Goyal took it right into the Congress camp, saying that this is the same party which had signed RCEP, which was a deal with ASEAN nations, but essentially a proxy for China entry, and in a way it was an indirect trade deal with China. And the Modi government back in 2015-16 walked out of RCEP on those grounds. So Commerce Minister there making it clear Congress has no locus to really attack the government when it comes to guarding the interests of the poor, the small and marginal farmers, and that's been taken care of. But still, the fact is that while this is the first authoritative statement coming in officially on record by the government on camera, with Commerce Minister rushing in from Mumbai, coming back to New Delhi. He was in fact supposed to make a statement in the parliament, but the Lok Sabha got adjourned for the day. So I think that's the reason why, given the pressures of the news cycle, remember, the statement had to be made, so it has been done now. Maybe a more detailed, comprehensive statement with more from the finer print would be made tomorrow in the Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha, and then maybe we would know more about the specifics. Also, it's likely, given the fact that it's a joint deal, and perhaps President Trump, like it is his wont, has jumped the gun by going on Twitter or Truth Social and making that post. The fact of the matter is that it has to be a joint announcement. So whether President Trump flies down to New Delhi or Prime Minister Modi goes to Washington, D.C. Remember, Prime Minister did that when the India-UK trade deal was signed. Similarly, with the mother of all deals, the India-EU deal, the EU leadership traveled to New Delhi. So these are big moments, big occasions. So obviously that moment would be, I think, being talked about by the respective diplomatic teams. Remember, as we speak, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar happens to be in Washington, D.C. to participate in the Pax Silica summit of the Trump administration. So you can expect those details to really emerge. But this statement by Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is essentially a combat from the government coming in to make sure that the opposition does not escalate from here on, and a wrong perception does not go that any kind of compromise has been made generally about the trade deal between India and the United States, and specifically the dairy and the agriculture sector.
Absolutely. That's a very important clarification that has come in from the government, from the Commerce Minister himself on the agriculture part. Of course, that has been a very crucial point between the two nations. Thank you so much, Abhishek. We'll keep coming back to you as we expect the joint statement very, very soon. India-US joint statement on the trade deal. coming up, viewers. We will be keeping a close eye on that. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
MDH की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
Hi, good morning
Hi, how
to
are
you.
you?
Good evening from India. We have announcement of a trade deal, and
Yes.
you've seen both sides. Trump says that India has promised not to buy Russian oil, but Indian Prime Minister's response makes no such commitment. But Trump says, I've reduced the tariffs to 18%. And then he says that besides everything else, Prime Minister Modi has also agreed to buy American, in addition to 300 billion in, 500 billion in some other purchases. Anyway, there's an existing agreement to buy 300 billion, so there's not much of a hard-coded commitment from the Indian side. So Trump is obviously using a lot of hyperbole, making some claims, but the good thing is there's an announcement of a deal. But there's more statements coming from Trump than from India, especially to Trump's statement that India has agreed to stop buying Russian oil. There's nothing official from the Indian side to that. How do you view these developments, Professor Sachs?
Well, basically, the United States is unstable and irresponsible, but backing down from the most outlandish actions of this government a few months ago. They made no sense. They antagonized India. They disrupted trade. And I think somebody finally explained to Trump that none of this was serving any American interests at all. And so Trump has backed down to an important extent. Everything about Trump and trade is erratic, not sensible, not accomplishing any U.S. goals, but better 18% tariffs than 50% tariffs or 500% tariffs. But I wouldn't take at face value any single statement by the U.S. government. I think everything is just complete improvisation, a lot of baloney, a lot of malarkey. But probably somebody has prevailed inside the White House to say, why antagonize India?
So, what did Trump or what did America gain in the last
Nothing.
4 months of putting
Nothing.
pressure on India?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Whatever is agreed today could have been agreed before. Nothing is gained. There's no pressure. India has U.S. has no leverage on India. So none of this is anything other than Trump's delusion that the U.S. is the be-all and end-all of the universe. And so his writ is the command for the whole world. But that's Trump's delusion, that the U.S. market is so big, so consequential, so important, that he can get every other country to fall into line. But the U.S. market is not very important in this way. The main lesson...
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग शिप भी बन सकती है।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
This morning, Rahul Gandhi, leader of the opposition, created a ruckus and furor in the parliament. In response to the president's address, he insisted upon raising what he said were some issues of vital import to our national security. So what was he saying? He was trying to cite an article from the Caravan magazine, which in turn was quoting excerpts from General Narwane, the former army chief's unpublished memoirs. It may be recalled that the government had stopped General Narwane from publishing the book. As such, the authenticity of the excerpts cited in the Caravan magazine itself are open to question. But then let's try and take a deeper look at what is this bravura all about. So I have had a detailed look at the article in the Caravan magazine. I have no access to General Narwane's book or manuscript, but we had a look at the Caravan article in detail. So what does this article say? This article talks of the 2020 Chinese
Very good evening, viewers. You're watching Republic TV and I am Rakshita Vishwa with you, and joining me in the studios is my colleague Ishani Mitra, and we are going to tell you about the different angles, the different important angles of this trade deal between India and the United States, as we are expecting a joint statement very, very soon. Ishita, it's been important to understand what really has gone behind this trade deal and why is it so important today when it actually materializes.
Right, of course, Rakshita, this comes after months of stalled negotiations, and now the two economies have come together, announced a deal, a sharp cut in tariff from 50% to 18%. So it's important to know what exactly went behind the curtain, what did bring the change in President Trump, and of course we'll decode all of that for you. But first up, let's take a look at the headlines.
Big charge by Piyush Goyal. He says that Congress had forced China deal on India.
A बड़ा ट्रेड डील, रीजनल कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक पार्टनरशिप आरसेप, जिसमें कांग्रेस ने भारत को झोंक दिया था 2011-12 में, एक प्रकार से चाइना के साथ एफटीए करने का पाप राहुल गांधी ने किया था, उससे भी माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने देश को बचाया.
Lok Sabha chaos as Rahul Gandhi's speech is stopped over ex-army chief's memoir. Mentioned Congress MPs that throw papers at the chair, later suspended.
ट्रेड डील में आपकी मेहनत को, आपके खून पसीने को नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने बेच दिया है.
Rahul Gandhi's big charge on US trade deal says the Prime Minister is compromised and he sold the nation.
Republic has the inside scoop from the India parliamentary meet. Prime Minister Modi says India-US trade deal a sign of a new world order.
And a first statement from Kremlin on trade deal. Kremlin says no signal from India on not buying Russian oil.
All right, viewers, a top focus at this hour. Donald Trump's sudden shift on India has now raised eyebrows across global capitals. Now, just weeks ago, US President was threatening steep tariffs, calling India a tariff king and openly criticizing New Delhi. over its purchase of Russian oil. But now the tone has flipped dramatically. Trump is praising Prime Minister Narendra Modi, calling him a great friend and announcing a reduced tariff trade deal that marks a major reset in the ties between India and the US. Now, this sharp reversal has triggered questions over what exactly changed. Real concessions, strategic pressure, or hard geopolitical maths from India's growing global leverage to its landmark trade pact with European Union, the mother of all deals. Multiple factors appear to be at play. So as Trump now resets, one thing is clear. Team Modi has turned trade pressure into diplomatic advantage. We break it down. What's behind this sudden U-turn?
India charges us massive tariffs, massive. You can't even sell anything into India. It's almost restrictive. It is restrictive. You know, we do very little business inside. They've agreed, by the way, they want to cut their tariffs way down now because somebody's finally exposing them for what they've done. And as you know, Prime Minister Modi's a friend of mine, but they don't do very much business in terms of business with us. They sell a lot to us, but we don't buy from them. One of the highest tariffs in the world. We get along with India very well, but India has, you have to understand, for many years, it was a one-sided relationship. Only now, since I came along, and because of the power that we have with tariffs, India was charging us tremendous tariffs, about the highest in the world. They were about the highest in the world, number one. And we, therefore, weren't doing much business with India, but they were doing business with us because we weren't charging them. Foolishly, we weren't charging them. So they would send in massive, everything they made, they'd send it in, pour it into our country. Modi's a very good man. Yes. He's a good guy. He knew I was not happy, and it was important to make me happy. They do trade. And we can raise tariffs on them very quickly.
So after all this, Ichta, we now come down to this tweet. After these tantrums by Donald Trump, we come to what happened last night. Donald Trump's latest tweet, ladies and gentlemen, is all about that. It has set ripples across diplomatic and trade circles. Their threats, the tariffs and tough talk against India. Now it's a strikingly very dramatic, softer tone that praised Prime Minister Modi as a great friend, announcing a reduced tariff trade deal. In fact, the post was dripping with warmth. And Trump claims that India has agreed to stop buying Russian oil, boost purchases from the United States, and lower trade barriers to zero.
All right, so it seems that Trump tried it all from high pressure to all the tactic sanctions, but India did not give in to that pressure. India stood its ground, played its card really well, and specifically, Rakshita, what we saw was strategic silence, strategic calm from India's side, which in fact played in its favor at the end of the day.
New Delhi never, of course, indulged in any sort of sagging match with Washington, D.C. and remained steadfast on its own terms. Let's take a listen in, viewers, on those. We'll tell you just those statements. We'll just play. We'll just put that out for you. It starts from 8th of March last year that you can't even sell anything in India. This is unfair. Very strong words used. And it just got worse day by day. From March, if you go to July 31st, they sell a lot to us. We buy a little from them. Then September, not looking at lowering tariffs on India. They said that we are not going to compromise at all. Then January, it says Modi is a good friend, good guy, we can raise tariffs. So this happens all this while, and not to forget what he said about India, that it's a dead economy. Russia and India can take their dead economies wherever they want to. And now they talk about, Prime Minister Modi and such a great friend he is. And, we get things done, so on and so forth. So you can see the contrast, the sheer U-turn by Donald Trump and why there has been diplomatic efforts. There have been consistent, persistent diplomatic efforts, ladies and gentlemen, so as to bring about this deal. And not to forget what was happening while the negotiations were on. Even his own Commerce Secretary had admitted that India refused to budge. Not just that, we were signing deals with the UK, with the European Union. That is called the mother of all deals, which also, somewhere set the tone and, set the ball rolling somewhere and fasten up the process.
Right, of course, India was signing deals with a lot of countries, right, from European Union to New Zealand to Oman. And while these FTAs were being signed, you see a dramatic change in Donald Trump's tariff tantrums. We're getting you exactly his statements and how the change came into being. Earlier he said, don't care what India does with Russia. And now he says a trade deal out of respect for Prime Minister Modi. So you can see the sharp change that has come into his tone with the way he's addressing India and its regard for the trade deal. In fact, this is a change we're now witnessing from Donald Trump with regards to trade deal when he has realized how crucial its engagement in terms of economic is with India and also the kind of change that is now visible. Remember earlier he said little business with India due to high tariffs, and now he says Modi, Trump know how to get things done. So clearly a sharp change, a sharp U-turn in the way Donald Trump is now using his words with regard to trade deal.
In fact, India has really drawn the red lines very firmly in the India-US trade deal that keeps agriculture, dairy, rice, wheat and the GM-free crops non-negotiable. So while the US, led by Trump and Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, highlighted the huge farm exports to India and billions in energy trade, New Delhi clearly focused on the opportunities for Indian farmers, MSMEs and innovators under Make in India for the world. Make in India and make it for the world. The deal details remain unclear right now, but it keeps agriculture at the center of attention. In fact, let's take a listen to what the Prime Minister has said about keeping our nation first and our farmers first as well.
भारत अपने किसानों के, पशुपालकों के और मछुआरे भाई बहनों के हितों के साथ कभी भी समझौता नहीं करेगा। और मैं जानता हूं व्यक्तिगत रूप से मुझे बहुत बड़ी कीमत चुकानी पड़ेगी, लेकिन मैं इसके लिए तैयार हूं।
And now, viewers, the agriculture, which is the elephant in the room, you know, it has been a point of contention as far as India is tried to negotiate with any country the deal. And here also, it has been a major factor. Of course, we heard Prime Minister Modi saying that he's going to keep the interest of farmers, those engaging in dairy sector and the fishermen at the forefront. Now, let's also take a look at what are the kind of statements coming in from both the sides as far as agriculture is concerned. Now, viewers, we have a statement from Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, who said that there is vast opportunities for our farmers, MSMEs, and opportunities for entrepreneurs as well as skilled workers. And this is what is going to come out of this deal, what Commerce Minister is claiming. Now, this is what Indian side is saying, whereas we also have a statement from the Agriculture Secretary from the United States. In fact, she has mentioned that they will be exporting more American farm products to India's massive market. This is the statement coming in from the US side on this, saying that this is the claim they've made on farmers as far as the deal is concerned, saying that they will be exporting more American farm products to India's massive market. Now, remember, viewers, we do not have the fine print of the deal yet with us. So we also just, right, of course.
Yes, there has been, of course, a lot of talks about, there have been some reports also, Ishita, about that there could have been some access given to certain agricultural, products as part of the commitment under the deal. But that, I think, there are some fears that, or rather some, doubts that will be now cleared when we see the joint statement and the fine print of this trade deal coming in. We have former Ambassador D.P. Srivastav also joining us on the broadcast. Ambassador Srivastav, thank you so much for joining us on Republic TV, sir. We've been really tracking what really went behind in the past 1 year, sir. The Trump tantrums had been going on, the way the gears were changing, and he was just increasing pressure day by day. But India stood firm, without indulging in any sort of slanging match, not getting into any sort of pressure, signing deals with the EU, with the UK, continuing with its, policies to protect, just in the latest, as we saw what happened in the budget announced as well. How do you see, sir, what has really, India derived its strength from? What has been the strongest points as far as India's stance and India's resilience is concerned here?
Well, I think India clocked a growth rate of 7.2% during the current year. And this at the time of growing international geopolitical uncertainties. So this would not have been lost on US policymakers. And going forward, the expectations are that despite the geopolitical uncertainties, we will be able to manage this momentum. Second, the US policymakers must have also noticed that despite the sharp hike in the tariff, Indian economy did not slow down because the government announced a number of measures, including lowering the GST rate, which gave momentum to the economy. Third is that we managed to clinch a major deal with European Union, which is a large market. US is about $30 trillion economy. EU is about little more than $20 trillion economy. So that also was an index of India's strength and resilience and size of the market. So all these factors must have weighed on Trump administration. And from the larger point of view, it also sends a very positive political message to countries. I would not like to name them, but the countries which saw India isolated will have to revise their outlook. Going forward, we have opportunities of collaboration, especially in the energy sector. I'll specifically mention oil, LNG, and nuclear. India is an energy deficit country. US has an energy surplus. And this will act as a major point of convergence. So let's wait to see more details emerge when it will be possible to make more detailed comments.
Right, Ambassador. I wanted to ask you, you've mentioned that there is a massive economic value that will be unlocked out of this deal. But in terms of geopolitics, it is also a big diplomatic win, the way US has been, acting in the past a few months, despite the pressure coming in, despite so many statements made, from the likes of Peter Navarro, Scott Bessent, and even Howard Lutnick. India stood its ground, was very calm, did not give in to that pressure, and then played its cards really well. So, how do you see this in terms of it's a diplomatic win for India?
I would put it differently. It's a win-win situation for both. Let's not try and score points. The fact remains that America is a much larger economy. I've served in Washington. I was there in the early 90s when US trade sanctions, Super 301 and Special 301, we were threatened with trade sanctions. They were never really imposed, but it created uncertainties. So let's say that this has been a win for both sides. Our exports will get stability, and the US will have more access to the Indian market with lowering of Indian tariff.
Right. Ambassador Srivastava, many thanks for joining us on Republic TV and, telling us your, reading of the situation. Meanwhile, viewers, we will just bring you to for with what has been happening in the past 1 year. Donald Trump, the way the U-turn has come in, it actually shows the kind of the art of the deal that has been actually, set as an example by India. But, you have to really listen what Donald Trump has been saying all this while. And here we are with the deal today. Take a listen into Donald Trump's, tantrums and the reaction that he had given early in the past.
India charges us massive tariffs, massive. You can't even sell anything into India. It's almost restrictive. It is restrictive. We do very little business inside. They've agreed, by the way, they want to cut their tariffs way down now because somebody's finally exposing them for what they've done. And as you know, Prime Minister Modi is a friend of mine, but They don't do very much business in terms of business with us. They sell a lot to us, but we don't buy from them. You know why? Because the tariff is so high. They have one of the highest tariffs in the world. We get along with India very well, but India has, you have to understand, for many years it was a one-sided relationship. Only now since I came along, and because of the power that we have with tariffs, India was charging us tremendous tariffs, about the highest in the world. They were about the highest in the world, number one. And we therefore weren't doing much business with India, but they were doing business with us because we weren't charging them. Foolishly, we weren't charging them. So they would send in massive, everything they made, they'd send it in, pour it into our country. Modi's a very good man. Yes. He's a good guy. He knew I was not happy, and it was important to make me happy. They do trade. And we can raise tariffs on them very quickly.
And well, that's a wrap on this edition, viewers. But on the other side, at 6:30, don't forget to tune in as we continue to get you more understanding of what is in store as far as this deal is concerned. The joint statement will be out next, but we also will be looking for the answers to the question that what really happens to the labor-intensive force. That, of course, is an important point. Every angle deeply analyzed on Republic TV. Stay tuned.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा।
Hi, good morning
Hi, how
to
are
you.
you?
Good evening from India. We have announcement of a trade deal, and
Yes.
you've seen both sides. Trump says that India has promised not to buy Russian oil, but Indian Prime Minister's response makes no such commitment. But Trump says, I've reduced the tariffs to 18%. And then he says that besides everything else, Prime Minister Modi has also agreed to buy American, in addition to 300 billion in, 500 billion in some other purchases. Anyway, there's an existing agreement to buy 300 billion. So there's not much of a hard-coded commitment from the Indian side. So Trump is obviously using a lot of hyperbole, making some claims. But the good thing is there's an announcement of a deal. But there's more statements coming from Trump than from India, especially to Trump's statement that India has agreed to stop buying Russian oil. There's nothing official from the Indian side to that. How do you view these developments, Professor Sachs?
Well, basically, the United States is unstable and irresponsible, but backing down from the most outlandish actions of this government a few months ago. They made no sense. They antagonized India. They disrupted trade. And I think somebody finally explained to Trump that none of this was serving any American interests at all. And so Trump has backed down to an important extent. Everything about Trump and trade is erratic, not sensible, not accomplishing any U.S. goals, but better 18% tariffs than 50% tariffs or 500% tariffs. But I wouldn't take at face value any single statement by the U.S. government. I think everything is just complete improvisation, a lot of baloney, a lot of malarkey, but probably somebody has prevailed inside the White House to say, why antagonize India?
So what did Trump or what did America gain in the last
Nothing.
4 months of putting
Nothing.
pressure on
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
13,000 placements last year. At Amity, we are committed to nurturing passionate, hardworking and proactive professionals.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरी राजा,
राजा और प्योर मसाला, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। जीरा सिप MDH का जीरा सिप MDH का जीरा सिप।
Our pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
This morning, Rahul Gandhi, leader of the opposition, created a ruckus and furor in the parliament. In response to the president's address, he insisted upon raising what he said were some issues of vital import to our national security. So what was he saying? He was trying to cite an article from the Caravan magazine, which in turn was quoting excerpts from General Narwane, the former army chief's unpublished memoirs. It may be recalled that the government had stopped General Narwane from publishing the book. As such, the authenticity of the excerpts cited in the Caravan magazine itself are open to question. But then let's try and take a deeper look at what is this bravura all about. So I have had a detailed look at the article in the Caravan magazine. I have no access to General Narwane's book or manuscript, but we had a look at the Caravan article in detail. So what does this article say? This article talks of the 2020 Chinese intrusions, which had culminated in the Galwan incident, in which 19 Indian soldiers had lost their lives. No weapons had been used, but the Chinese had laid an ambush with pointed stones, with baseball bats wrapped up with barbed wire and nails and studded with lethal handheld weapons. You see, 19 Indians had been killed, but in response our soldiers had given an excellent account of themselves in hand-to-hand combat, and it is said that 45, some claim up to 100 Chinese soldiers were killed, which they tried to hide by saying they
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग शिप भी बन सकती है।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरी राजा,
राजा और प्योर मसाला।
Hi, good morning
Hi, how
to
are
you.
you?
Good evening from India. We have announcement of a trade deal And
Yes.
you've seen both sides. Trump says that India has promised not to buy Russian oil, but Indian Prime Minister's response makes no such commitment. But Trump says, I've reduced the tariffs to 18%. And then he says that besides everything else, Prime Minister Modi has also agreed to buy American, in addition to 300 billion in, 500 billion in some other purchases. Anyway, there's an existing agreement to buy 300 billion, so there's not much of a hard-coded commitment from the Indian side. So Trump is obviously using a lot of hyperbole, making some claims, but the good thing is there's an announcement of a deal. But there's more statements coming from Trump than from India, especially to Trump's statement that India has agreed to stop buying Russian oil. There's nothing official from the Indian side to that. How do you view these developments, Professor Sachs?
Well, basically, the United States is unstable and irresponsible, but backing down from the most outlandish actions of this government a few months ago. They made no sense. They antagonized India. They disrupted trade. And I think somebody finally explained to Trump that none of this was serving any American interests at all. And so Trump has backed down to an important extent. Everything about Trump and trade is erratic, not sensible, not accomplishing any U.S. goals, but better 18% tariffs than 50% tariffs or 500% tariffs. But I wouldn't take at face value any single statement by the U.S. government. I think everything is just complete improvisation, a lot of baloney, a lot of malarkey, but probably